the other device. So uh, any questions that you have? We can, other than the internet and money, we can start our satsang.
I have a question, Guruji.
Okay,
Om Tat Sat, Gurudev.
on that.
Om Tat Sat. Gurudev, my question to you is, a few days ago, you were mentioning how people have, like, you can tell the way the people behave, what their characteristics are, as well
Hmm.
as if you can tell, like, how they are, like, animal-like. And it's like because of the behavior, is it because of the previous lives, the way they are? Like if somebody's always backstabbing you or something, and like in American saying, like, oh, they're snake, but it's just because of the previous lives they become like this, or just because of the lineage they come on, or it's just the habits and the nature they have?
Well, everything's from the past. So if you're referring to other people, uh, the their nature is it all comes from the past life and the past lives. And there's a small influence by your what continent that you're on, where you're located on the planet. That's a small factor. Another small factor is your immediate environment, coming from your bloodline. Your mother's a factor, your father's a factor. Uh, what her diet was like during pregnancy is a factor. Uh, did your brain uh, grow to its full extent? It became limited by our brain function. It has nothing to do with our karma. Uh, so there are things unrelated to us that affect what we experience in life.
Yeah,
Um,
because some people behave so holy and so, but then you will think because they're spiritual, the religious, they are on the same path, but then they're the biggest people.
that-
You never know. They're going to,
I'm just using the word devil because
okay,
it's a great way to describe it.
okay.
Uh, a lot of people who are devilish, and it's the devil that influences them. They
Mm.
pose as spiritual people, and they're genuinely interested in spiritual things, but they're demonic people, meaning they're that type of people. I don't mean that they're lost. It's a lost cause, but they're disruptive, and they're egoic. They're selfish. They do stab you in the back. Uh, they do hurt other people. They do talk about other people, and they do influence other people badly, even though they're part of even though they're part of a religion and they read scriptures and they have Kriya Yoga initiation and or other spiritual practices and they uh, meditate, but they're still influenced by these bad influences, and uh, it's their karma. I mean, it's their karma, not somebody else's. So it comes from their past. So a lot of people that receive Kriya Yoga, and we'll just talk about Kriya Yoga, come from all sorts of backgrounds in their past life. This might be because Kriya Yoga is being given out to so many people so easily. They don't have to demonstrate uh, uh, any connection with austerities in a past life. So somebody can have zero austerities, meditation in their past life, and this can be the first time that they're doing meditation. So they're easily connected to Kriya Yoga because it's all over the media, all over the internet. It's easy to connect to, but people aren't vetted. They're not, uh, as Babaji said to Lahir Masad, don't give Kriya to liars. And liars are those that are interested in spirituality, but there's nothing spiritual about them.
That's it.
It's
That's it.
they're interested about it for other reasons, for selfish reasons. And and well, we were talking about open. I was talking with sunny about the open borders in America. The past 4 years, we had complete open borders in the United States, so that there were documented there were over almost 30 million
Hmm.
people that came into the U.S. across the borders, and anybody could come in. You didn't have to know who you were. So all sorts of people came in. So all sorts of people came in, mental patients, terrorists, gangs, all infiltrated. Whereas now, the borders shut. I mean, not even one person is getting through every day. I'm talking about the open borders through Mexico or through Canada, not legitimate visa holders. Whereas now it's only legitimate visa holders, and you have to be vetted in order to get a visa. So it's harder to get in. But once you get in, you have all the benefits of a free society, a free republic, uh, 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 democracy. And it is a republic. It's not a complete democracy. So it's a republic democracy. And in India, you also have a democracy. So you have freedom in India. You have freedom in the United States. Some countries you don't you don't have freedom. And uh,
Pranam, Guruji.
so,
Oh,
so so
Korea.
yeah. So people come in for all the benefits to the U.S., but they're not. What kind of is it? A quality person? Is it? There's a lot of Indians in the U.S. because Indians are quality people. They're very well educated. They're very intelligent, and they're admitted into the U.S. Uh, easier because they uh, have a job connection before when they apply for the visa. They already have a a, a letter of acceptance into a college or into a profession. And it's usually a very high paying profession because of their intelligence. And then it's easy to get through because it's a quality person that's going to contribute to the tax base of America, for example, and contribute to the stability of America. So it's the same thing with Kriya Yoga. So many people, it, it's really an open border for Kriya Yoga now. So uh, all sorts of devilish type people have infiltrated uh, Self-Realization Fellowship. They've infiltrated Ananda, uh, and so you don't have the real practitioners of yoga, Kriya Yoga, for the right reasons. Uh, and as I read yesterday from Sri Shankaracharya's self-knowledge, before you even practice yoga, you have to perform austerities. In other words, you have to have a pure character. And this is what Babaji said before, to Larry Messiah, before you initiate, make sure that they have a pure character. Make sure that they're a quality person. And of course they'll have faults, but 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 they have mostly they're coming to Kriya for the right reason. They're not coming for selfish reasons. They're not coming to uh, uh, because their friends are, or because they want the benefits of good health or psychic powers, or to better themselves for worldly reasons, to all the things that are being advertised to now that you should receive it, that you can receive it for. Um, it's should be presented as, and then people should be vetted. Every single person that wants Kriya, the guru that gives them initiation, or the gurus designate that, like myself, I could designate somebody to also give Kriya Yoga initiation if I saw that they were of the right character and the right understanding, the right knowledge. And it would be the same as me given initiation. It doesn't have to be uh, a guru. It can be someone that the guru designates. Um, but it would be a quality person that would have the intuitive ability, which intuition is a yogic power, uh, to vet people, to see if that person is a good character. Because you can, uh, uh, people, people will pose as good character because they know that's what's expected of them. Just like you could go to a job interview and you could have a beautiful resume and you're only highlighting the good things about yourself. You don't put any of the things like, well, on my last job, I argued, the boss and I got into an argument and I left. And the job before that, the boss and I got into an argument and left. Or the job before that, I got into an argument and with the boss and I left. So you only worked for 3 months at these jobs or 6 months. Whereas when you interview, you want to make sure somebody has a stable background. Well, I worked for this job for 5 years or 10 years. It shows stability. So the same with the Kriya Yoga, uh, people have to be vetted. So you're going back to Seema's question. You have family, which there's nothing you can do about it. Uh, but when you come of age, you can decide whether to continue with your family or not. If your family is really disruptive, my own personal choice is mother and father. I would always be connected to, and no matter how disruptive they are, because that's your dharmic uh, uh, obligation is to take care of your mother and father. But when your children come 18, they should be sufficiently on their own. You don't have to uh, provide for them anymore in any way. But your parents, you do. Uh, of course, you can be there for your children, uh, but you don't have to. If you find that your children are disruptive, don't don't associate with them anymore. It's perfectly fine. They're only your they're only your children for the incubation period in the womb, and then for the birth, and then for the formative years, and then for into adulthood, which adulthood used to be 14 years old. Um, Adulthood, because of the modern civilization and the communication, it is becoming younger. It's going back to 14-year-olds. Some 14-year-olds are pretty adult, but your brain doesn't stop. Your brain doesn't stop uh, growing until you're really about almost 30 years old. So you don't really have good judgment about most things until you're about 30. So you could say, well, should I provide for my child until he's 30? No. They have to go out into the world and see how the world works for themselves. So your parents are forever, your children aren't forever as far as your obligation. Your aunts and uncles, you have no obligation to. If you have a child with special needs, then you continue to have an obligation for the rest of their life. Um, so friends, you don't have no obligation to friends. Um, so disruptive people, uh, some to this question, you know which ones are disruptive to your spiritual life. Don't You can still be friendly with them, but don't let them in. Uh, don't If somebody is disruptive, then slow restrict the communication to just pleasantries and nice positive things. Uh, my neighbor across the street, and I really like her a lot. Her name is Jane. I like her a lot, and she's helped me a lot in uh, with medical needs. When I was here by myself and I needed an ambulance, she would come over and help me. Uh, and she's and I just like her soul, but she's extremely negative. I would never talk anything spiritual with her, and I wouldn't spend the whole day with her because everything she says is negative, but then everything I say is positive. So the negativity doesn't continue. So I can be with extreme negative person and extreme bad behavior. And now I wouldn't disassociate with them if I for some reason I didn't want to, and it wouldn't affect me at all. Because I can continue to be positive, 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 and their negativity all gets deflected and uh, it's repelled, and then it forces them to become more positive by force. If they associate with me, they're going to become more positive. The extreme negative person will they'll become more positive, at least while they're with me. So that was one question. We're just going to do questions and answers today, or anything you want to talk about.
Yeah, because
Guruji,
Huh?
Guruji,
uh,
Guruji, I
do you
was
want to keep your phone on a stand or something? I don't know if you're holding it for long.
Well, I've got my feet propped up on the bed and I'm in the chair, so there's nothing to put it on.
like a pillow or something, or
Uh,
Like a book, you can keep it at the back.
yeah, well, I got my elbow propped on the arm of the chair. This is okay. Might be a little wobbly. That's all right. I got some pillows, but I would probably have to adjust them. Because somebody had a question?
Gurudev.
Mm-hmm.
I was contemplating on my mind and observing where it was going, and it was terrifying because it's crazy. The mind is crazy. It's going there.
Well,
I'm just looking at it, like,
mm-hmm.
and it's going this, that, and it's weird. It was a weird moment for me.
Well, I can relate to to this. There's a lot of factors. Lahiri Masaya, and I was surprised because you think that Lahiri Masaya, especially with all his connection to Babaji, would have a calm mind, meaning that the mind wouldn't be all over the place. But he would write honestly in his diary, and in his diary, he said, "This morning my mind is really, like you say, crazy. It's restless." And he said restless rather than crazy. Uh, so this morning, similarly, I didn't sleep very much last night. I'm still not feeling well. Fever. Uh, so, usually when you have a fever, you have uh, a restless mind, usually. So, uh, I went to sleep at 9 and I woke up at about 11:45, and I got up for the day. Uh, but then I started to get tired again. Well, I woke up with kind of a disturbing dream. Then I went back to sleep and I woke up about an hour later. And the dream was extremely disturbing. I mean, I was in uh, uh, the house I used to live in Florida in the dream, and the houses around it. And there's always lots of people in the dream. And my thoughts, who I was, my thoughts in that dream were not good thoughts. Um, I didn't like the person I was in that dream. And then I woke up and then I went back to sleep and it continued with that. And there were uh, bad activities, bad thoughts, and I woke up kind of disgusted uh, with the dream. And and so that carried over into my initial waking up to where I am right now. And I felt that disgust with myself continued uh, for probably about 10, 15 minutes until I got up and took a shower and started to do some activities. Um, and then I got myself re situated into the good instead of this uh, crazy negativity. And of course, that's all your mind. It's not me. It's all my mind. And I know that it's not me. I know that it's my mind. Um, this is the way the mind works. Um, we like to have things stable. We like to have knowledge of what's happening around us, and we like the familiar. We like what's familiar. Um, so if something is introduced into our life that is disorienting, our mind becomes disoriented. If we're taken out of, if something infiltrates our familiar uh, situation, our mind gets disoriented. If it's something negative, it we start to have uh, different types of fears that are associated with that. And then the mind, if it feels like the familiar is under attack in any way, familiar meaning, okay, uh, this would be familiar. Every morning I wake up in the same place, uh, and in the same house, in the same room. I have food that I like. I have my dogs. I have beautiful nature. I have my uh, mother and father close by, and they're doing well, and everything's going well. Finances are everything's being met on time. There's no financial strain. There's no food strain. There's no strain for survival, and you're actually able to have uh, ways of good creativity of some sort, good actions of some sort on a daily basis. You have a job that you like, or you have a routine that you like, or uh, uh, something stable, but then something comes in to disrupt that, and your mind uh, goes in many, many different directions trying to look for stability, similar to if you were sitting in, uh, in a sitting position on the floor, and then you stand up and you're trying to gain your balance, and you're something similar to vertigo. And with vertigo, you're kind of wobbly and everything's spinning, and you're trying to get your stability. So there's lots of things that are introduced in life that make us feel unstable. But the miraculous, well, and the amazing thing about the mind is that it'll go in a million different directions, and just trying to get its stability back. And this is what we experience. Uh, because of the dream, my stability was greatly affected just because of a dream. And so when I woke up into this waking world, I was still affected by the dream. So I was looking for stability. You know, my immediate thought is I, one way for me to gain stability is to immediately go to the Bhagavad Gita or go to one of Yogananda's books, go to a scripture, and immediately I regain my stability. Um, so you could do chanting, you could do just simple reading of the scriptures, or you could call a good, positive friend, someone who's reliably uh, good, and then you can regain your stability in that way. Or you could, if you live in a kind of an isolated, if you have, for example, for me, waking up unstable, I could have done two things. I could have just picked up a scripture because they're all right here, or I could have just gone, uh, taken a shower, or get into water, and or I could have gone outside, and I could have taken my dog outside, and stability immediately comes back. In other words, those are things that you regain your stability. Um, one story about Yogananda is a true story. He would go out on campaigns, so he'd be on the road where he would go and give speeches, give satsang into the auditoriums. And he would go from city to city to city, and he might be gone for 3 or 4 or 6 months at a time before he would go back home, which is his home in Encinitas. He had his bedroom with his furniture, his books, his possessions, his rug, and he came back from one campaign, and while he was gone, they put a new rug in his room, and he did not like that at all. He he it, he felt the instability of that because he liked the rug that he had. He liked the old worn rug. It was familiar, and they put in this brand new rug. It wasn't familiar, and that upset his home life. Uh, it's just one thing I guess I take exception uh, with self-realization fellowship is they're always making everything new, 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 new. They're adding to it, making it new, which is a habit of the mind, trying to keep everything pristine. It's good to have flaws around you. It's good to have things that are antique, things that are worn, because they uh, are familiar in a spiritual way. They're familiar, like the old temples. They have familiarity. You may have been there, and you probably were there, like in Jageshwar, for example. I definitely was there in past lives. So immediately you were there in a previous incarnation. So you're it's familiar and you have stability just by going to that temple. Plus many, many saints and gurus and masters and avatars have been there. Uh, Dakshinaswara Kali Temple, for example, you were probably there in a past life. I was probably there in a past life. So we go there and it's very familiar. A lot of these old temples are, a lot of the new ones. Uh, we'll just take Satguru, for example. He's making new temples.
Mhm.
Uh, I wouldn't want to go to those new temples that are set up by someone like that. But I would go to Vrindavan or Hardwar and Rishikesh or Badrinath or many, many other places. I'm not familiar with uh, Middle India or Southern India. I just stay in northern part, which is probably because in my previous life I was I lived in the northern part of India. Um, so routine, familiarity, uh, connection with nature, interaction with nature, dogs you're forced to interact with, uh, trees and sky and moon and sun. That's kind of a passive interaction. Water is a very uh, uh, hands-on interaction. Like you take a dip in the Ganges, for example. Uh, why why is the Ganges holy? Well, it comes from a holy source. Sadhus, Mahatmas, avatars have lived on the Ganges. They take a dip in the Ganges. It's associated with holiness and its water. Uh, if I lived right on the Ganges, then I would never. If I wasn't doing spiritual work, I would just stay right there, for my whole entire life. And I would always be in a samadhi type mood just because of the Ganges. Um, but I can't do what I'm doing, being in a samadhi mood all the time. I can't talk. I can't interact. I can't feel uh, what you're feeling. I can't interact with you. I can't uh, be of much help to anybody. But I can't go out and drown. In other words, if somebody's drowning, I can't swim out and be drowning myself and help somebody that's drowning.
Guruji,
Yes.
speaking of the mind, sometimes I find that it is we who are giving power or energy to the mind, and if the mind brings distracting thoughts, troubling thoughts. Sometimes I try to withdraw the energy from the mind. It somehow quietens the mind, at least for briefly. It helps during meditation or when I have to focus on something, when I'm talking to somebody, if I have to listen intently. It helps to withdraw energy from the mind. It somehow quietens the mind, briefly at least.
Yeah.
Guruji, I was thinking also, given that our body has parasites, that we have parasites in the body, we know that, and it can cause harm. The mind also can have entities attached to it, do you think, that give certain thoughts?
Uh, no, not really.
Mm.
If you're practicing spiritual disciplines, that entities can't attach to you. So if you're doing holy actions every day, like uh, proper meditation and proper living and satsang regularly, uh, there's no entity that can attach itself to you. So
Guruji, what is proper meditation?
well, proper meditation is connecting with higher consciousness, pure consciousness. Whereas I was thinking this morning, most people don't that practice Kriya Yoga, um, because I've seen hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people, um, in all different situations I've lived in, um, practicing meditation, and most aren't doing it properly. Most aren't doing it regularly. Regularity is another proper way to do it. If you do it if you're not doing it regularly, then you're not doing it properly. Um, if you're just doing the techniques only and not going into a place of serenity, uh, if you're not taking time for serenity, if you're just doing energization exercises, a multitude of techniques, you're never going into serenity. So serenity is the proper way. So I don't recommend that you do a lot of techniques. In the beginning, you do. So you do the Hang Sama. Well, you do Maha Mudra, but you don't have to do that forever. You can dispense with it if you want to. Uh, but the Hang Sa mantra, I would always do that. Um, in the Kriya Pranayama, I would always recommend that. In the Jyoti Mudra, I would recommend it. But the Pranava Mudra, you don't have to do. Um, so there you have Hang Sa, Kriya Pranayama, Jyoti. You just have three techniques. So you can just do those three.
Guruji,
Mm-hmm.
when I was about maybe till 2 weeks ago, I was connecting better. Like I used to feel that energy on the center of the forehead, but the last, I would say, week, 10 days, the that sensation is not. I mean, I'm not looking for it, but I'm not getting that same kind of connection that I got like 10 days back.
Mm-hmm.
So, what is the reason for? What could be the reason for that? Because I'm doing it every day.
Um, well, um, doing Ketri Mudra helps in keeping the awareness at the spiritual eye. Just thinking, just the thought of keeping your awareness at the spiritual eye helps. So if you lose focus, if you're not doing Ketri regularly, if you're not uh, making your meditation prominently at the third eye, uh, uh, you need to do that. I've told many the story of when I was first in India. I had initiation. I would go to the Ganges and bathe in the morning. So that was about 10 o'clock in the morning. I was walking towards the Ganges, just a little narrow path, and uh, a Mahatmaji was coming from the Ganges, and he had just bathed, so he had on a new sari. He didn't have a shirt on, and he was a Mahatma that I knew, and I had a question, so I was approaching him with a question, and I never was even able to ask him. He just put his finger at his third eye, and I immediately saw that he knew that I was restless and that I should put my awareness at the third eye. So I never asked him the question. I just immediately put my awareness there. So I was taught to always keep your awareness at the third eye. Um, so that's a big part of it. Uh, but you don't always have to do that. You can put your awareness at the fontanel. You can put your awareness at the base of the brain, the medulla oblongata. You put your awareness at the heart center. Um, so sometimes
What is the fontanelle, Gurudev?
it's
So what's the
top of the
difference
head.
between the third eye and the fontanelle?
Well, the fontanel when your baby is born and you have a soft spot on the top of your head, that's the fontanel.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And then as you grow it, the bone
Yeah.
forms over it. Yeah, the brain in the skull continues to grow, and then it's now on us. It's hard, but when we're a baby, it was soft. So that's the fontanel.
So we put the attention there,
Hmm.
and third eye is here. Okay.
Yeah, and you can do both simultaneously. There's a lot of sensitive uh, chakras between the agana and the fontanel. There's some diagrams that I have that show that. Uh, I don't. I don't precisely put your awareness anywhere. Don't do it precise, just in the general area. So the fontanel is you don't precisely have to put it on the skin of the fontanel. Put it a little bit above that, slightly above the head. And then the third eye is just the general area of the third eye. It's not the pituitary. It isn't the pituitary gland, like a lot of people say that that's the third eye or that comes from the third eye. It's not the pituitary gland. It's not inside your. Has nothing to do with the physical body.
Pranam, Guruji.
That.
Guruji, I had a question. Many times when we sit for meditation, we have like I think of like I think of you, or I think of my guru, my other guru, and or ma. But sometimes during meditation, when I have not thought of anyone, there is I mean there may be something that may appear which I have not thought of. Uh, and then it happens not just once, it happens one day, and then it happened the second. And if I then during the meditation, because I mean it's nice, it's not terrifying, but if I ask that please like in Hindi you say that introduce yourself, like I don't know who you are and introduce yourself. So I do get, and some this they do, I mean a word comes to me, like I this is just about 3 days back that it happened, and uh, there was a massive snake that I saw, and a golden huge. I have written to you, but you've not been able to see my messenger message. So and the second day when it happened, I did ask, please introduce. And in my mind, it was that it is probably, I was thinking the snake represents the Sahasranaga, which is there on Vishnu. I thought of that. That was there in my mind, but the name that came to me was different. It was Vasuki. And then I Googled and I found that Vasuki is also a snake. I didn't know. So something like this when happens, is it okay? And why does this happen? Like, is it because something, when you are sitting for meditation, are you reaching higher realms, or something is passing by and it gets attracted? That was my question.
Well, you're accessing higher realms, and the higher realms are occupied by souls, and they're occupied by various gods and goddesses are associated with various realms. So when you go into a, a realm, just think of a realm as going into a room, and it's occupied by other souls, and you're aware of those other souls, especially if they're congenial, if they're uh, beneficial. They might be attracted to you, so they might be they're coming to you. You might be aware of them, but they also might be coming to you because they've become aware of you.
So Guruji, she's attracting them somewhere.
That's probably what's happening. Yeah. Now,
Guruji, my question was like, uh, uh, it should not play on my mind that I should be next time sitting and looking for them, because I was just thinking that somewhere nice experience you've had, you want to kind of, attract them again, or you should be. What should I be doing? I mean, like my mind, of as you said, I mean, it started with the mind. The mind wants to kind of refocus on something that one has had. So, this experience should be just let it go and
you should always direct your mind to uh, the absolute, always. So don't be looking in the higher realms for other souls or other gods and goddesses. Uh, for example, I don't uh, I don't think of Divine Mother. I don't think of Kali. Uh, I could, and that would attract her attention, but I don't. Uh, I think of if I'm thinking higher thoughts, I think of the absolute, which is free in space, uh, the infinite, uh, just a void of clarity and infinite space, or uh, infinite bliss, infinite love. Think of those
Guruji,
things. Uh-huh.
why would that be? Why would you say, okay, I wouldn't think of Kali? Is it because Kali, as we call her, she takes on a personality of her own, right? And she
Well,
starts to
Kali
interact as a personality.
can reach you here on this earth plane, but that's not the ideal uh, interaction on the earth plane. She isn't. Uh, I wouldn't say it makes her suffer or makes her uncomfortable, but this isn't really where she wants to be. So, um, but in a time of need, she might come down to the earth plane and uh, make make her presence be known to you. Um, but it's the old story of the woodcutter that wants to cut sandalwood, and then the sage tells him, don't stop here, don't stop there, don't. You might discover gold, you might discover, uh, and then he discovers gold. He says keep going. He discovers diamonds.
Further.
He says it keeps going, and he discovers more and more and more. So if you dwell on these beings, and they are higher spiritual beings in different realms, you might become you might go to that particular realm after death, uh, and that's good. So there's not bad about it. It's better than focusing on material things. But if you think of the absolute, you're going to go into even higher realms because you're reaching even further, which doesn't mean that you will go to the absolute after death. You probably won't, because the majority of your uh, association will be at a higher spiritual realm. Um, but if he reaches to your utmost limit, then the chances of reincarnation into this terrible realm that we find ourselves in is less likely. So, if you see the beings in higher realms, definitely acknowledge them because they're coming to you. to be acknowledged, but don't dwell on them. Sometimes I do, but they get tired of you too, and they'll move on. So if you want to make a point to continue to dwell on them, it's okay. Sometimes I do, but they don't necessarily want to be with you every moment. And usually they don't. Usually they just come and make their presence known, and then they move on.
Guruji, the interesting thing was that during during the meditation, I had stopped and I started. Suddenly, you had come to my mind, and I started chanting your name. I stopped everything else, and I was chanting your, and that is when I saw this. But my and the day that I was doing this meditation, I had a terrible headache. I had a bad back and everything. My point of always finding is that if somebody is there, then okay, let me know that you are there, and you can cure me of this pain. Can I be okay? And it so happened that when I got up from meditation, my headache was gone, my backache was okay. So like this is how I test. Okay, is there something which is there, but was there for 2 days, and this is what I wanted to know that. I mean, things keep coming and going. I mean, you get connected, and I think mm, it's natural to kind of want to connect the third day, but then I think one should just keep away and just
Well,
be.
I, I myself, I have a strong connection with snakes. So I have my whole life, and I continue to be snake oriented.
Okay.
So I always have been. And physical snakes, spiritual snakes, all types of snakes. So,
Guruji,
That
why
that
this?
hmm?
Sorry.
No,
I
I'm just
was
saying so
just
that makes it so much clearer because I thought of you and then saw this huge golden snake. So maybe that was yes.
Yes, it's snakes that come to you in dreams or come to you in meditation is always very, very, very good sign. It's a very good thing. That's why you should never ever harm a snake. Never hurt a snake.
I personally like snakes very much too.
Well, there's stories of yogis that they wake up from samadhi, and snakes cobras have attached themselves, wrapped themselves around all the
Yes.
parts of the yogi.
My
Snakes,
my other
yeah,
my
snakes seem
other
to,
Guruji,
yeah, go ahead.
yes. My other Guruji, when he did sadhana in the Himalayas, he always told me that he sat in caves and there was no light and there were snakes all around. They would be wrapped around his body and they would
Mm.
be everywhere. There would be snakes. And when he told me, I was so terrified. And I said that you didn't get scared. He says, what is there to be scared of? There's nothing to be scared of. And I think that took away a lot of my, fear of snakes. So what you're saying is right. Guruji, my Babas did say that snakes were wrapped all around his body and things like that when they
Well,
did sadhana.
we're told that as children to stay away from snakes because some snakes are dangerous. Um, but I grew up with snakes also, so I've handled all sorts of snakes and had them wrapped all around me physically since I was a boy because my father taught me how to do it. And so I'm not afraid of snakes. Uh, but it isn't good to startle a snake because the snake can get scared of you. So if you're sitting and meditating, no snake is going to harm you. But uh, if you're walking in the woods, don't ever step over a fallen tree, for example. Always step on the tree and then step over because you might startle a snake, and then the snake might just react and might bite you, and it might be a harmful snake. But if you're calm, uh, if you see a snake on your path, for example, if you just stop and you're calm, the snake might come and check you out, and then just keep moving. Same thing with monkeys or other any type of animal, tiger, bears, uh, anything that you would think to be harmful. Don't move forward, don't run, just stay extremely still, and they're not gonna molest you.
Guruji?
Guruji?
Uh-huh.
Oh, you go first.
Eh, Okay. Today I was reading about in the autobiography of Yogi about the part when Sri Yogeshwarji resurrects himself and he appears to Yogananji. And he's talking about this realm, Hiranyalok, where he has
Yeah,
appeared in
yeah.
order to help uh, the astral beings, to clear their astral karmas. So I was wondering, so there are different type of karmas also, astral and causal, that we have to work out.
Oh, yeah, very much so. And you're working those out as you're working out your physical karma. They're here, but we're not as much aware of them. We're mostly aware of the physical, but you're also while you live in this life, you're also have times of awareness of the astral and also at times of awareness of the causal. But yeah, they all have karma associated with them, and there's uh, attachments formed in the astral, and there's impressions and uh, that you gather in the astral, and that aren't the best. But in the causal, uh, every attachment, every impression, it's all pure and it's all good, but it's still attached to form. So uh, you're still unable to go uh, live into the highest realm of all, which is the formless. Uh, but us as a being, physical or astral, or even causal, we don't, we're comfortable where we are. The worm is comfortable in the dirt, the pig is comfortable in the slop, the bird is comfortable in the sky. Uh, us as a form, as a being that has formed, uh, we've had a form for like forever. Uh, the the idea of being formless isn't necessarily appealing. It's a little frightening. I don't even like to think of God as formless, but God is formless. Uh, Arjuna preferred to think of Krishna with his form, his familiar form. Um, I don't have any. I don't even know what the formless is. You can't say what it is. I don't. I don't want to go to the formless Brahm. I want to uh, live in the realms uh, where God is, God with form.
But Guruji, God with form, then that means all your senses are still there, our five senses.
Oh, you have more senses in the astral than you do here.
Okay.
Much, much more. That's why you have more freedom, because you have more. If you think of every sense, every one of your senses is a door to the body. Your nose is an opening to the body. Your
Yeah.
mouth is an opening. Your ears are an opening. Your eyes are an opening. Your genitals are an opening. Your anus is an opening. In the
To the
astral
body.
body,
Right.
yeah, in the astral body, you have more openings. So you're accessing even more. Uh, in the causal body, probably even more. I can't really say about the causal exactly, but the astral, you have uh, many more senses. So you're able, they're, and they're mostly senses of enjoyment, just as our physical senses are senses of enjoyment. Our eyes, we can choose to see pleasant things. Uh, our mouth, we can choose to have pleasant taste. We can choose to have pleasant sound. We can choose to have, even an evacuation of the bowels, if it's going out, even that is pleasant. And of course, the genitals going out is pleasant. Uh, going into the eyes, going into the nose, going into the ears. It's associated with sight, taste, sound, Uh, so attachments in the astral realm are better than attachments to the physical realm. So if you're free from physical karma, you'll only inhabit the astral realms, which are far far superior for happiness and peace and enjoyment than the physical realm. The physical realm is a realm that you were born into because you have physical karma. That's why you're here. And that's the worst kind of karma. It isn't good, but face up to it. This is where I am. Uh, this is where I am.
I'm a
I
bit confused.
obviously have had had physical karmas. That's why I experienced rebirth into this realm. Myself also. And Yogananda also, and Lahiri Mahasaya also. He had physical karma. So it isn't that the physical realm has to be terrible. Uh, you have to regain divine consciousness, and then it's actually quite nice here in the physical realm.
What is
Guruji, to
physical karma, Guruji? I'm confused. Sorry.
Say what?
What is physical karma? What do you mean by physical
It's
karma?
association with or organic matter. So the five elements of physical existence. Yeah, all the elements that come from stars.
Yeah.
Our physical body is made out of it comes from the stars. All the stars you see in the sky. But
Guruji, do
I'm
we have to be
wondering this.
in the physical realm first to get physical karma? Like, if don't we already have to have a physical body to create physical karma?
yeah, you do.
So,
There's
but you're saying that we come back in physical body only because we have physical karma. So, the first
yeah.
time we got a physical body, where did we create that karma from?
Well, there's a lot of souls that have never ever come into the physical body ever, not even once, and they're living beautiful lives in the astral or the causal world, and they've never come. We come here out of curiosity of learning. We it can be it's mostly out of curiosity, but the second is we're instructed to come here for our benefit to learn. Because then in this environment there's struggle, there's difficulties, and then when we go back, we're 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 even more knowledgeable, and we're even more helpful uh, to other souls in the astral realm. So we kind of come here as a hero, uh, but then we can come as a hero and we can get caught in a sand trap, or we can get caught
Mm.
by tigers, or we can be harmed, and we start forming, or we can start. Uh, if you're incarnated as a male, then if you're attracted to a female, you can start to uh, form attractions, and then all that forms karma. So then you continue to come here to learn lessons, but you're always learning. Uh, but you might continue to get into kind of the whirlpool of physical life. You continue to come back. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, because it isn't real, and it isn't forever. Even from the earthly perspective, it might be thousands uh, of, of, of years. That might even be millions of years, or as I said, billions of years. But uh, there's no time in the astral realm. Uh, there's no time at all. There's sort of a time, but we don't live in accordance with time. So we don't have time as in astral. The sun doesn't come up and it cause daylight, and then the sun goes down, and then the moon comes up and have moonlight. In the astral realm, you don't have days and nights like that.
Guruji, I've recently been attending a Gita class, like the foundation class before we begin the Bhagavad Gita.
Hmm.
And we were asked, like, where do we think the soul resides in the body?
Mm.
And the size of the soul. And so I always thought that it was the third eye. But then we were told that it's a consciousness. And what is the size of the soul and where does it reside?
It resides in the heart, just to the left of the heart, about 1.5, 2 digits of the uh, to the left of the heart, and about the size 2 digits, maybe the size of your thumb, which is about 2 digits of your middle finger. Uh, and then the soul itself is very, very, very small. Uh, the, the the soul itself, when it comes into the physical realm, it does have size and weight, but it's very, very small.
Like this, Swamiji.
Hmm.
Yesterday, you advised to keep a small photo of Divine Mother and sort of think of Divine Mother and say that you're the child of Divine Mother. So that was the form of Divine Mother. And now you also mentioned that we can also think of Divine Mother as a formless mother, not as Kali or as one form of Divine Mother, but sort of a formless. So my query is, can we do both? Sometimes look at the form, sometimes do formless, and just do it whatever comes naturally, or consciously drive myself to look at a formless form or a thought of Divine Mother.
Well, just think of your own mother in this lifetime. You're when you're in the house. There's different rooms in the house, but your mother isn't in all the rooms. So sometimes she comes into your room that you're in, but sometimes you go to the room that she's in. So you'll see her in her form. But then you want to go out to play, and so you go out to play. But your mother, you always know your mother. You always know where your mother is, and if she's going to go somewhere if you're out playing, she's not going to leave you uh, uh, with an empty house. Um, so you always know that she's at the house, and you can go and see her whenever you want to. You can yell her name. You can say, "Mother, mother, where are you?" And then she'll come running to you, depending on how desperate you are. But if you're really, really desperate, she'll come. That's what Ramakrishna did. And so he called her out of desperation. But you can just call her lightheartedly too. Uh, and then sometimes you're way out playing somewhere, and your your mother might have an errand with a neighbor, and she might see you somewhere joyfully playing, and she'll just look at you, and then you'll glance up at her, you'll just see her, and you'll go back to playing. You'll just say, "Oh, well, my mother's visiting the neighbor, but I'm engrossed in my playing. I'm just thinking of my own neighborhood where I grew up." But you can be really attached to your mother and just always be at her side too, or you can be at the bosom as a little baby. A little baby, the mother's nursing, her breast is full of milk, and uh, that's when the baby stops crying, is when the baby's taking milk. And then the baby's satisfied because the mother's milk is in the baby, and the baby stops crying. Then you can put the baby down in the crib, and the baby's happy, and the baby sleeps. Uh, and then the baby wakes up crying and stops crying when the mother picks the baby up. It's just like that. And it's not any different. And if you read the autobiography of a yogi, Yogananda, he describes what I just described in his own experience. He lost his mother when he was young. He was very attached to her.
But to connect with Divine Mother like this, Guruji, in the way you are describing. You need to have a good experience with your own mother, be able to
No,
project.
we all have a good experience with our mother. You were you were in your mother's womb. That was all good experiences. Even if your mother was taking opium or alcohol or cigarettes, it was still a good experience because you're protected in the womb and you're perfectly happy in the womb. And it's a womb that you're enveloped by your mother, uh, with the placenta for nourishment and the sac of water, and and then you come out into the world. The water breaks. You come out into the world. The placenta. Uh, the placenta comes out first, right? Yeah, I think the placenta comes out first, and then the baby, uh, and then you cut the umbilical cord that you're still attached to the mother. You cut that, and then the baby is individualized, uh, but still attached to its mother. So my mother, I was scared of her my whole entire life. I mean, I was really actually frightened, and but when I was a little boy, I wasn't because I was cute and adorable, and so she was always nice to me. But as I started to grow, even as a small boy, even when I was still adorable, she could still be. I started to have some frightening experiences with her. Then as I got older, she started to become mean. Um, so no, you don't have to have a good relationship because Kali isn't necessarily uh, comforting. I mean, she can be very frightening. I mean, if you meditate on Kali, she can be very frightening, but she can also be very sweet. But she's ours, so we're her own. So she'll never harm us. But she can frighten us.
Gurudev,
Yes.
yesterday you said at least 1,000 lifetimes most of the devotees took. So I just want to know whether they were human births or some other form like animals or creatures.
They're all forms, all animals, not necessarily every single species of animal, but yeah, you had animal incarnations and you had bird incarnations and you had uh, species of different categories, reptilian, uh, insect, and then before that you had incarnations in uh, uh, vegetables, plants, and then before that you had incarnations in minerals. So you've had all of those. That's what's led you to this human birth. Human birth is well, you just look at upon ejaculation, all the spermatozoa that is going to the egg, and they're all just keenly directed to fertilize the egg, the human egg, in the mother's uh, what is that called? Uh, so they're going there with a mission, and there's thousands of them. I think even millions might be, uh, and only one gets through and firmly planted in the egg that starts to grow the embryo. Only one of those. So that's how hard it is to get a human birth. Uh, and then there's all the possibilities of it growing into uh, a healthy uh, baby. There's a lot of things against becoming a healthy baby, and then a lot of mothers have a stillbirth or they have a premature birth. Uh, so when we have the birth of a healthy baby, we're very, very happy about it. Um, But they can be healthy. They can have all 5 fingers and 5 toes and have a good formation of the spinal cord and brain, and but then they can come with negative karma. They can have a perfect body and bad karma. So there's all sorts of possibilities. But the better the karma, the better the possibility. As a sage or a saint, we were talking about donation of organs. Uh, there's donation of organs. There's also amputations. Uh, Amputation of any type is uh, not good. Um, Sometimes it's necessary for life, but it's some type of bad karma produced the amputation, produced the necessity for amputation. So Ramakrishna, he had throat cancer, so that wasn't an option for him. But Ramana Maharishi, the cancer started in the arm, so uh, that was an option for him, but he refused to take it. Uh, I felt even when the first teeth that I had pulled, I felt that I had been that something was uh, wrong in some way. Just even to have teeth pulled, but I haven't. Uh, when I thought about what if I had cancer on the arm, um, would I have it amputated? That would require a lot of contemplation because I'm inclined not to. I feel like it's not right. The body is very, very precious. To do any type of a harm to the body, to other people's body, to your own body also. Uh, any type of uh, violence against the body, like suicide, I would never, ever, under any circumstance, contemplate it because that's very, very bad. Um, so I'm directed by uh, God not to do things that are harmful to me. And I don't do anything that's harmful to me now. I'm not inclined to. There's a few bad habits that come to my mind occasionally, things I used to do in the past. Because I did them in the past, I might have the thought of them, but there's there's no appeal there. So it's not something that there's no karmic link anymore. Whereas before, I would have the thought, and then it would compel me to do the action associated with it. Whereas now there's uh, the thoughts that I have are all for that compel me to act are all good. Like I have a strong compulsion, obviously, for to be in India. That's why I was back in India. When I was old enough, I didn't even stay. I graduated from high school, but I didn't stay for the ceremony. I was already gone. Uh, I was compelled to go back to India. Uh, so now that I've been back, I've reestablished my connection with India. Uh, so I'm always wanting to be back in India. So that's my, uh, uh, what could you say? That's my, you always have to have some type of a misery in life. That's my misery in life. And is trying to get back to India when I'm there, then I'm happy. Good. Because that's home to me. So you're happy when you're home. You might be far, far away from home, and you still have home, but you're always thinking about home. And then when you get there, you're happy again. So even our,
Gurudev,
yes,
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead, finish if you.
No, listen, finish.
No, when you mentioned in yesterday's satsang that Divine Mother had taken I think you said a huge chunk of darkness that was kind of the breaking point for your realization, or I believe that's how you described it. I'm just curious, was it something talking about this chunk of darkness or ignorance or whatever? Was it something that was general, or was it something that was associated with something from your past or something that had to be cleansed? I'm just wondering. I don't know.
No, she took away all of it. She didn't leave any at all whatsoever. So you can remove it piece by piece, and what it is every attachment. So there's dozens and dozens of attachments. Every desire, there's dozens and dozens of desires, and there's lots of desires you've forgotten about, but they're still there. But you're in an environment where they don't have a tendency to come to the surface because you don't have an outlet for them in the surface. So then you get in a situation where you have an outlet for those desires, and those desires come up. So there's a lot of desires you have that you're not aware of. There's a lot of attachments you have that you're not aware of. There's a lot of impressions, uh, good impressions, bad impressions you're not aware of. So uh, general is as close as possible with the question that would be the answer. If she just took away an attachment that you're aware of, like say, well, I'm attached to this girlfriend or something, or I'm attached to my dog, or I'm attached to overeating. And you ask God to take away that attachment, that's not going to do much. I mean, you're not asking for very much, are you? And ask for the whole thing because it's your right to have all of it taken. So don't ask or expect for little things to be taken away from you. And I didn't ask for it for her to take all these things from me. Um, and I in general that's what I wanted, but I wasn't precise about it. I wouldn't say, well, take my karma. Uh, I was just aspiring for uh, uh, God intoxication, God awareness, to God to be the primary influence in living. I didn't care what she took or left. I didn't have felt like I had to pick or choose. And she just happened to take all of it. Maybe for some other people she does take uh, some. Um, it's rare for somebody to have all their karma taken. It's not that isn't an everyday occurrence. It's very rare.
And Guruji, when it does occur, for all the karma to be taken, what is the exception that's made?
Exception? What do you mean?
As in, like, why would someone be the chosen one?
Oh, well, you're not really. It's not that you're the chosen one. Um, if you're still thinking of yourself as an individual, then maybe you might think of as the chosen one. But um, if you have karma, then you feel like you are an isolated person. When you don't have karma, you're no longer an isolated person. So it's not even possible to think of yourself. So in other words, being chosen or not being chosen doesn't even exist. If you still have karma, then it isn't because you're unchosen, it's because uh, the karma's still there for a reason. You still need it. You need it to be there because you're learning from it. Uh, When it's no longer needed, then it's taken away. That's all. So it isn't that I was chosen, it's just that I no longer needed it for my growth. So I don't, you're taught not to accumulate bad karma. That's good karma telling you to aspire more for it. It isn't that if you don't do it that you're lost or that you're going to have more suffering. Uh, I've had more suffering uh, since having my karma removed than I had before. I didn't suffer very little before. Now I'm suffering a lot. So uh, it isn't like that.
And Guruji, you've been wanting to come to India for a really long time, and
Hmm.
would you ask God to fulfill that desire for you ever, or it's not
Oh yeah,
something
I
like.
have. I have for a long time, continually.
So
I've
do
been.
you think that that you need to be where you are, and that's why God is not?
I have no idea. That's what I ask God. Is the why? I don't know. I really don't. Yeah, I'm perplexed.
Soon.
No, I'm coming this year. I mean, that's been told to me. That's happening. But it's been a long time. I was coming every year for long periods of time, 3 months, 6 months.
But Guruji, you must be communicating with God. That like God doesn't answer it like in so many words,
Well,
like the reason.
I talk to God like I'm talking to you. So yeah, I communicate with God. I tell God what I want. Uh, so this is that the only time I haven't uh, been given what I asked for, and I'm perplexed by it. So how
Yes, I
long is
remember you saying that all your desires have been fulfilled by God so far.
so it's been 7 years, I think, since I was there last. And it seems like just yesterday. Um, and for a lot of people there that were with me, it probably seems like yesterday too, because we haven't lost contact. But I like to prefer to physically be in India. As soon as I'm there, then I'm really supremely happy. But it's a physical preference. It's not a spiritual preference. Your physicality has a preference. Your physical has soul. You don't have soul. You are soul, but your physical has soul. But after I leave this physical, the physical won't have any preference anymore because none of me will be in the physical. But as long as I'm in the physical, then I have preferences for the physical. I don't have I don't have minor preferences. Like I could sleep on the floor, I could sleep on a bed, I don't care. I could have indoor toilet or I could have outdoor toilet, doesn't matter to me. It could be hot or cold, it doesn't really matter to me. Um, those minor things they don't matter to me. But we're always wanting to be better than we are. Everybody does. So you always want to aspire to be better than you are, but don't don't aspire to just be a little bit better. I mean, if you have one bad habit, of course, if it's bad, it's the focal point of your life. So you don't want your life to be wasted by one bad habit. So at that moment, you would want for that to be gone, and then people don't want to do the work, so they 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 go to gurus, take away my one bad habit right now. Uh, it can work that way, but it's very rare. Uh, it requires effort on our part. It took a long time to establish that habit. It's the natural course is to take a long time to remove it too. Probably not as long, but it'll take some time to remove it. Through spiritual uh, uh, techniques, you can remove it faster than they accumulate it. And then for a while, you have to refrain from repeating it. But then after that, there's no danger of it reoccurring. Alcoholics Anonymous, they say that you're an alcoholic forever. It's a disease. It's completely not true. You're not an alcoholic forever. It's a bad way, but that works for people because then there's no. If they're taught that, then well, I can't have even one more drink ever for my entirety of my life. So it keeps them refrained from taking another drink. So that's good. That's not a bad thing, but it's not completely true. You're not an alcoholic forever. Once you've been gotten out of the habit of it, then you just don't prefer it anymore. That's what a habit is, something of your immediate preference. You don't prefer it anymore. Your body doesn't need it anymore. So that habit can be applied to all of your habits. Your habits of oh gosh, your talkative habit, or your habit of your sexual habits, which can be physical and thought and fantasy. Food can be physical, thought, and fantasy. Your preference to location. Some people are fascinated in India. They're fascinated with America. They want to be in America. And there's a lot of Indians that come to America. This is where they want to be. And this is where they feel better when they're in America. They aspire to be here and they feel better. And some Americans aspire to be in India. That's where they want to be. That's where they feel better. And it's probably because that Indian was in America in a previous life. And it has, or in my case, I didn't know why I was born in America, but I found out that it was to fulfill all of my desires. Some of my desires had to be physically worked out, and it could only be done quickly in America. Probably some other country too, but especially in America, where you can achieve anything really in a short period of time. So all my desires, I was able to fulfill those desires, meaning I was able to achieve those desires completely. So Divine Mother didn't take away my desires. That I did myself through hard work. She takes away the ignorance, the veil between you and higher states of consciousness. So you can ask for small things. You can ask for this habit to be taken away or this attachment to be taken away. But you need to ask for, as Anandamaya Ma said, you should always ask for purity. It's the thing to ask for. If you ask for purity, then you just automatically go into a higher realm. And now purity is where I'm comfortable. If, like I said from that dream this morning, which wasn't, my experience in that dream wasn't of a pure nature. And so I was disturbed in the dream, and then I woke up, I was disturbed. And the remembrance of the dream is because of that, because it wasn't a pure, uh, it wasn't a pure dream. And now I'm associated with purity. That's where I'm happy. That's where I belong. So if you if your strong desire, association, your comfort is purity, then you're on your way. You don't want to associate with anything that's impure, so you don't have to worry about habits at all. You've already established your habit for purity. And
Gurudev,
yeah, go ahead.
yes, since you mentioned Andamai Ma's name, she said you should always have God's name in your mind or chant God's name.
Mhm.
But from your teachings, I understood that you don't really support the idea of chanting God's name in your mind or something like that. So why is that?
Well, she was speaking to a very general audience. People from every walks of life would come to her, and people that uh, didn't necessarily practice any type of austerities. Most of them, mostly worldly people, came to her. Just the sight of a divine personage like her uh, can change the course of somebody's karma. So people came to her for all sorts of reasons, uh, mostly for material benefits. Um, so she gave them to everybody. She gave uh, japa with God's name. That was her gift to everybody, because that's their way out. That's their austerity, is to do your japa is your austerity. So she said every single person can start on the spiritual path through an austerity. So that if your mind is always going after the physical, if you refrain from that and you start putting your mind on God, all you have to do is say God's name, and your mind is on God. Uh, then that's your austerity. That's your practice. But God's name is always being chanted within you. That vibration is always being is within you. So I teach a higher because you're higher. Uh, uh, Higher beings are attracted to me. That's what I teach you. I teach you a higher practice, which is God's name is always being chanted within you, and connect with that. Don't chant God's name. Yogananda, most of his disciples were not of a very pure nature. We think, well, wouldn't it have been nice to have been born and been associated with Yogananda? No, not necessarily so. Uh, Most of his disciples weren't of a pure nature. So some of them, they couldn't become vegetarians. They couldn't practice Kriya. Uh, they couldn't refrain from all sorts of bad thoughts and bad habits. And they quarreled among themselves. They fought for position among themselves. They stabbed each other in the back. Uh, all sorts of things went on. So someone would go to Yogananda. I can't practice Samsa. I can't imagine somebody not being able to practice Samsa. Of course you can. But he said to one, and imagine that you're breathing through the spiritual eye. That was just to keep his attention at the spiritual eye. Imagine that you're breathing in through the spiritual eye and breathing out through the spiritual eye, not the nose. And then to another ones, they said, then chant God's physical name. Ram, Ram, Ram. Do that, which is what Anandamaya Ma would give to everybody. Now, there's other things. Uh, if you come across a divine soul like Anandamaya Ma, she could also give the same practice to a higher evolved person, because she's given you the instruction to chant God's name. That's all you need. You don't have to do kriyas because you're of a higher nature. You don't have to be of a lower nature. It can also be of a higher nature just because it's coming from her. Because it's connecting you to her. Like uh, somebody, along with this accusation of me being a drug addict, which is ludicrous. They also accused me of giving favoritism to those who gave me more money, which is also ludicrous. You have no idea how much time I spend with people that don't give me any money whatsoever. I spend more time with them than I do with you. Uh, they never give me anything whatsoever. So that's a complete uh, marvel of their own wickedness in their minds. It has absolutely nothing to do with me whatsoever. It's patently false.
Thank you, Gurudev.
TK.
Guruji,
Uh-huh.
I know when Swami Kriyananda ji was ousted from SRF,
Mm.
he came to Anand Mohima, and Anand Mohima told him that um, think of this as your guru's prasad or something, like it's your guru's wanting this to happen. And I think that brought him a lot of solace, because Yogananda ji had met some Anand Mohima, and obviously she was who she was. So that brought a lot of respite to him after he was ousted.
Yeah, he was devastated. I mean, he was shocked and devastated as he should have been, because that was like me having my head cut off. He was shocked and devastated that he had given so much, and in his belief in Yogananda, now he's being ousted from Yogananda because the SRF was Yogananda, and he's being kicked out. Plus, he didn't have any money. He didn't have anywhere to go. It's a devastating position they put him in. Um, and so, yeah, he needed solace. Now, Ananda Ma had higher gifts than that to give him, but it wasn't his time to receive them. But solace was uh, the gift that she gave him, because he was still very Rajasic oriented, so much so where he created another organization. He couldn't help himself. Uh, I'm of a different temperament. If I was in his position, and he shouldn't have done this, he should do what was right for him. But I'm just explaining my temperament. If that had happened to me, then I've already been in India. Um, that's uh, the where Yogananda always preferred to be. That's where he said he was going to be uh, with Lahiri, Mahasaya, and Sri Yukteswar and Babaji. Uh, okay, to hell with the organization. I'm going to India, and I'm going to live the rest of my life in India as a sadhu. I'm not going to try to do anything. I'm not going to try to build an organization. Yogananda has already taught me everything that I need to know. And if people come to me to learn from that, then I'll teach them. But I'm not going to advertise for other people to come to me. I'm just going to let the ones that come to me, and I'll teach them. That would have been my attitude. That would have been my sign from my guru Yogananda that don't go down this path of organizational work. Don't do that. I don't know if you could say Ananda has been a big benefit to a lot of people, and it has. And SRF is a benefit to a lot of people, sure. But it's also been detrimental. SRF has also been detrimental. And Ananda has also been detrimental. I mean, to a person's spiritual growth. Because they both teach you a lot of things that get in the way of your spiritual growth. Because they're representing their guru. They're representing an organization. Your guru doesn't have to be represented. Why do you feel the need to represent your guru? Why? Did Anandamayi Ma represent her guru? Did even Sri Yukteswar, did he represent his guru? His ashram? No. He didn't teach everybody the teachings of Lahiri Mahasaya. Did he? No. He didn't represent his guru. Where did this come from? Yogananda didn't represent his guru. He didn't say, well, here's the teachings of Sri Yukteswar, and practice the teachings of Sri Yukteswar, accept Sri Yukteswar as your guru. And did he do that? No. Vivekananda, all the disciples of Ramakrishna, they didn't do that. Where did this come from? It came after Yogananda's death by people that weren't didn't have knowledge. They wanted to do something. They felt inspired to do it, and they were established in the routine of Kriya Yoga, and this is the only thing that could. This is what they were. Their rajasic natures inclined them to do. I don't, and I'm just being truthful. I don't know if people in Ananda are progressing spiritually or not. I kind of tend to say no, they're not. SRF, are they progressing or not? I kind of tend to say no, they're not. Not in my way of recommending progress, but are they progressing a little? Yes, of course they are. But are they truly finding God? Are they communing with God in a high state of consciousness? Some of them are, just as some Christians do, but or those of any religion are. But they're being restrained. They're being refrained from going any further than that. Okay, that's the end of our time. It's good to know that cellular works good. Maybe I won't even reestablish the internet. I don't know. To get this some thought. We can just have cellular that can eliminate another monthly bill. We'll see. Okay, so I'll see everybody next week. You can message me anytime, or you can ask to meet with me on video anytime as well. Okay?
Bye, Guruji.
Okay.
Pranam.
Om Tat
Pranam,
Sat.
Guruji.
Pranams.
Thank you, Gurudev. Om Tat Sat.
Om Tat Sat.
That's it.
Om Tat Sat. Jai Guru.
Jai Shri Gurudev.
Jai Guru.
We're going to start that from now on. Jai Guru.
Jai Guru.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
good.
Jai Guru.
That's good.
Gurudev.
Jai Gurudev.
Yes.
Jai Guru, Om Tat Sat. We can do both.
Pranam.
Okay, I don't know how to turn this one off. Oh, there it is. Ooh, it says a sign that inside it says there's a check mark by Lucretius that Lucretius should continue the satsang. That's exactly what it's saying. Assign Lucretius and leave. It's kind of nice you have that option. Okay, this is it. Om Tat Sat.